This article is being presented by Mindset Change. Why I always want to be alone. The human being lives in a constant balance of moments of solitude and moments of company. Although the usual loneliness is observed with a negative connotation by many people, on the contrary, there are also many people who enjoy their lonely moments so much that they prioritize those plans over the alternative of social skills. In the process of maturity, the conquest of loneliness is the result of unconditional love for oneself. But why do I always want to be alone? Quote, if you feel identified with this question, in Mindset Change we help you find the answer. Positive experience of loneliness. Those people who avoid individual plans or believe that a movie or theater experience is more enjoyable, simply because they are accompanied, often experience the idea of improvising an afternoon of leisure and free time without having previously met a friend. On the contrary, loneliness is an emotional treasure for those who do not live loneliness from the perspective of emptiness or absence but of fullness. They are people who feel the creativity, the illusion, the freedom and the confidence of being with themselves. Those who live the positive experience of loneliness appreciate their time and their ability to manage it autonomously without having to reach agreements with anyone else. It is the freedom to finalize the details of the agenda without having to reconcile that free time with that of another person. People who enjoy their loneliness have an intense inner world. They are thoughtful people who maintain a constant internal dialogue with themselves. The human being is immersed in constant dynamics of relationship with others by being in society. For example, relationship with coworkers, living with neighbors in the neighborhood and family. Not all personal relationships are fully happy and satisfying. Many of them are perceived as a social protocol rather than as an enjoyment. From this perspective, the moments of loneliness become a pleasant disconnection that promotes emotional rest. People who reach the state of enjoying periods of loneliness are those who have given themselves the opportunity to experience in practice experiences that break with these limiting beliefs that conclude that leisure plans lived in solitude are boring. For example, who after having made a trip alone, discovers that he has enjoyed that experience, is encouraged to set another similar goal. And, in this way, from the memory of this catalog of experiences, build a new world map. 5 reasons why you want to be alone. Each personal story is unique and unrepeatable, therefore, it has its own nuances. What are the reasons why a person always wants to be alone? 1. Moment of personal search. Who is in a moment of change with respect to their habitual lifestyle and wants to develop their introspection to find answers to the questions that beat inside them, then, look for solitude as a necessary refuge to think calmly. This situation is common at a time of crisis when the protagonist wants to make important decisions. 2. Way to be. There are people who, when they think of possible adjectives with which to define themselves to present themselves to others, explain that they are lonely. Does that mean that you avoid personal relationships at all times? Lonely people also enjoy quality ties. However, even when they are in a couple, they need a lot of space for themselves. They are creative people who do not get bored easily because they always have some project in mind to which they devote much of their free time. 3. Individualism. This is the case when a pragmatic vision of time management emerges, always focusing on self-interest. In that case, the protagonist observes as an advantage to be able to define their schedules at all times without having to adjust to the availability of another person's agenda to finalize a plan. Sometimes, the person experiences the rebound effect of falling into individualism as a defense mechanism before a previous stage in which he has not respected his own space and has adapted frequently to the expectations of others. 4. Deep sadness. The desire for loneliness is not always the manifestation that the protagonist feels happy. Who lives a period of sadness and apathy, can tend to isolation as a consequence of their own mood. In this case, the environment of friends and family of that person worry when they observe how the protagonist distances himself from others and locks himself. It is natural to want to spend more time alone in a sad situation, however, it is not healthy emotionally to always want to be alone. 5. Previous disappointments. When a person accumulates a sum of negative personal experiences in the plane of love and friendship, he can reach the universal conclusion that loneliness is the best experience. Assuming a commitment to another person in relation to the care of that story requires conditions of reciprocity. In your moments of solitude, you do not expose yourself to the pain of a friend not living up to your expectations, for example. Those who are at a time when they want to avoid this kind of friendly disappointment, seek solitude as a protection mechanism. Without a doubt, loneliness is a necessary experience. But the moments of solitude are completed with the spaces of social relationship. This article is purely informative. In Mindset Change, we have no power to make a diagnosis or recommend a treatment. We suggest you to go to a psychologist to discuss your particular case. Mindset Change by Sikander.